where are these refugees coming from? Iraq, Afghanistan, Syria, Libya, the very countries that we're bombing. We're paying our tax money to bomb Libya, Syria, and then we're paying our tax money further to house them in hotels when they come over to this country. What are we doing? What are we doing? You guys ever wonder, we always seem to have money for war, don't we? You know, whenever there's some people that needs bombing, you know, whatever state the country is in, we can always reach down the back of the sofa and we can find a bit of cash for war. Always have money for war in this country. Now, I'm by no means any geopolitical expert or anything, far from it, okay? Whatever's going on in the Red Sea with Yemen, you know, you can have a conversation there. But from what I do know and from my experience, whenever we seem to go on bombing campaigns in the Middle East, whether it's Iraq, Afghanistan, Syria, Yemen, it never seems to end well, does it? Never seems to end well. And it almost seems to escalate the problem further. 20 years on from bombing in Iraq, problems seem to be worse than when we started. Now, I say, no geopolitical expert here, I'm just a guy. But what the point of this video is that we always seem to find money for war, don't we? Whatever state the country is in, we've always got money for war. Now, we've had 13 years of this Tory government, 13 years of austerity. You remember back when David Cameron started, you know, we need to balance the books, Britain needs to live within its means.
How can people really believe that you'll balance the books in 3 years? And
my ministers will continue to bring the public finances under control so that Britain lives within its means.
And we've had 13 years of this. We've had 13 years of cutting our public services, of cutting council funding, and you know, we're seeing it all around us. We're witnessing the effects of this.
Single mum Cheryl lives in a property that's covered in black mould and infested with mice, but turning up the heating means less money for her and the kids.
I became homeless through the military. I came out of service from the military. I wasn't well mentally or physically, and I just spiraled out of control.
Housing charity Shelter says there were over 38,000 more people in some form of homelessness in 2023 compared to 2022.
Across Britain, families in their thousands will be spending tonight in temporary accommodation. The number of children in England alone living under such arrangements has soared to almost 140,000, the highest figure ever recorded.
It's a ticking time bomb. You will shortly start to see councils start warning of their own impending bankruptcy.
The families that are living in and out of temporary accommodation, the cuts to the council funding, our derelict town centres. There's even YouTubers now that are making a living out of doing videos where they just visit different parts of the country and they just show how derelict and how run down these areas are in England. That used to be something that Bald and Bankrupt done in ex-Soviet countries. That's us now. That's us. That's what we've turned into. We've had the effects of 13 years of Tory austerity. We've had it for 13 years. But like I say, we always find money for war. Always, always. If there's war, if there's someone that needs to get bombed, we've always got the money for it. Now, you ever looked into how much one of these ballistic missiles cost? The most conservative estimate I can find, the most conservative, is between $500,000 and $6 million. But some estimates are in the region of $70 million for one missile. One missile. It ain't cheap, is it? It ain't cheap. But, you know, this is the point that I made. If you went to the British public, if you stopped any member of the British public and said, right, we've got £6 million here, we can either send a ballistic missile into Yemen, blow up some, you know, Middle Eastern people, or we could spend that $6 million on doing up Grimsby town centre. All those derelict shops, we can turn them into social housing for families that are in and out of temporary accommodation. What would you rather they spend the money on? You know what the answer to that question is. Where you going, mate? You coming in and out? There we go, we'll let you out. And this isn't a democracy. That's not where we want our money spent. And ironically, it kind of does a full circle, doesn't it? Another thing that is in the news a lot at the moment, a lot of people disgruntled about the $6 million a day that we spend housing refugees in hotels. And, you know, I get it. I get people's frustration. When you're seeing the British public out homeless temporary accommodation for families, and we're paying to house refugees in hotels. But this does the full circle. Where are these refugees coming from? Iraq, Afghanistan, Syria, Libya, the very countries that we're bombing. We're paying our tax money to bomb Libya, Syria, and then we're paying our tax money further to house them in hotels when they come over to this country. What are we doing? What are we doing? Meanwhile, our British citizens are out on the street. Our families are going from temporary accommodation to temporary accommodation. Our towns and cities are derelict, homeless, epidemic, tents popping up everywhere, food banks popping up everywhere, child poverty. But yet we've got money to bomb Yemen and then house their refugees when they come over here. What are we doing? What are we doing in this country, honestly? Oh dear, if you like the video, click a like. If you haven't subscribed, you can subscribe up top. And please comment, give me your comments. Please explain to me what the hell we are doing. What are we doing? Imagine starting a country like this. Right, how are we going to run the country? So first of all, we need to bomb the crap out of some people over there and then pay to have their accommodation over here. Yeah, but what about our own people? Yeah, no, fuck our own people. That doesn't matter. Who gives a shit? Just make sure we're bombing people and then getting the refugees to come over here. I'm babbling. But like I said, I started earlier, I'm no geopolitical expert, but it appears on the surface like we're just protecting corporations, billionaires, by making sure their trade is uninterrupted through the Red Sea at the expense of our own citizens going homeless. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. Till next time, take care.